It's our episode 9 listener question special.
Episode 9 listener question special.
The world is weird.
Welcome to Talk Worky to
Welcome
Me.
to Talk Worky to Me.
This is Kirsty Hulse.
K-Dog. K-Dog.
K-Dog, as she's affectionately known to herself and herself only. This is K-Dog Kirsty Hulse.
That's
Spent the last 12 years on a professional mission helping people be more human in the workplace, because to be more human means you get to exert more professional influence by being yourself. Bringing the weird, jagged edges and who you are means you can actually influence and get what you want in work and life.
Jagged little pill, baby.
Aside from being a jagged little pill, in one of our early interactions,
Oh, wow.
she said, "You can call me Kirsty Universally Down Hulse." Because I'm universally down or up for anything.
Is
once.
it?
Yeah. That is it. That is how you presented yourself
I said
to me.
that I'm Kirsty universally down for anything. I don't think that's true. I think that's, when someone meets someone and they're like, you're dating and you're sharing. I think I would have liked to project the image that I'm like down.
So this was your marketing.
That's my marketing.
You gave me your brochure.
Okay, you've lived with me for 4 years. Am I universally down for anything?
You're universally down for being really comfy cozy on the sofa. The nice salad.
Universally down for salad.
Yeah,
Look,
any kind of salad you're up
That's
for it.
not converting.
That isn't converting. I was top of funnel and you needed to push me down through the funnel and convert me.
This is Henry, the funnel Blanchard. He's a super cool guy, very knowledgeable about lots of things, actually. At your A-levels, you studied physics, chemistry, maths, and drama, which I actually think is a very good proxy for your specialisms now. You teach people to pitch and present like me. That's kind of how we met.
Mm-hmm.
But you're also very technologically and scientifically aware. You teach people with goodwithai.org to be better at using AI in workplaces. Just an all-round top bloke.
Bloke, yeah. Bloke is the term that other blokes describe. He's just a bloke, isn't he?
So, Henry and I met because you'd chatted to me a bit on Twitter when Twitter was Twitter and a nice place to be. You'd replied a few times. We've spoken about this before, and I was not replying. But then you slid into my DMs.
Oh yeah.
And you offered me
Budget. Offered you, but I
You
dangled.
offered me money for some services.
And that is the way to your heart.
That is the way to my heart. And I replied fast.
Very fast.
And then we did you were running a program for Santander, and you asked me to be the uplifting program kickoff.
Yeah. Well, they'd asked me to be the uplifting program kickoff a year before. So it was some really big boots to fill.
Huge.
And then they'd asked me to help run the program the next year. So I was their entrepreneur in residence.
Yeah.
So I helped design the sessions, but I was there as kind of like an agony aunt for all the founders to be like,
Okay.
we're trying to raise a round. How do we start? Or how do we find product market fit? How do we do more marketing? So I was there helping design the program, book the speakers, but also being kind of this coach / therapist for the founders, which is was what most good kind of business coaching is. You just listen to people and then they figure out the solution themselves.
Yeah, that's what all the best coaching is. And so the only interactions we'd had were on the phone, 90s style. You'd irritated me because you'd been slow to reply, slow to send me the links.
That's entrepreneurial.
That's entrepreneurial.
That's very me, though.
So I'd never met you. And then the moment you jumped on this virtual call, I was like, oh, I like him.
Mm-hmm.
Because you were just I wasn't expecting you to to have such charisma and presence. And I go after what I want.
Yes.
And so I saw you and I was like, I fancy him. And there's not many people that I like.
You're not a fancy kind of person, are you?
No, I'm not. No, when I
You're quite discerning.
I'm quite discerning.
Yeah.
And so and honestly, if our genders were reversed, this is probably really bad vibes. But after the session, I'd seen you and decided I fancy you, went through our email chain, found your WhatsApp, and then WhatsApped you a professional message. WhatsApp you message being like, thank you for that. But I slid into your WhatsApp.
You did, yeah.
I slid into your WhatsApp.
You upped the ante.
And then how many days did it take you to reply?
42. 42 days. I was busy running the program.
42 days.
The day the program finished. Literally, I was at like the closing ceremony, like it was the final pitch day. They were announcing the winners, and I text you as I was sitting in the crowd at the end of that program.
And here we are.
Running
a podcast.
It all culminated in
This is just a long game. You just wanted some of my brand collateral.
I wanted your clout. I wanted the rub, as they call it in professional wrestling.
Someone asked me a couple of weeks ago, what's the best business decision I've ever made? And you know what I said?
Being really good at business. Answering your emails fast.
You're the best business decision I've ever made. I can do more, succeed more, make more with more ease and joy and peace since I've been in a relationship with you.
Is it since you've been in a relationship with me, or since you've been in a relationship with a former accountant with an eye for detail?
No, it's you. It's mainly because you have made me feel a sense of security and safety in myself that I never envisaged possible. And so that's just such like a good springboard to take risks from. You've never once let me down. Okay, so we're going to do audience questions today.
We're going to do our
because we have a few.
9th episode. Yeah, we got a bit of a backlog.
Also, do we need to celebrate the 9th episode? Because isn't it that most podcasts don't make it to 10?
So this is interesting, right? So,
Yeah.
Okay, it's classic Henry diatribe before we get into it.
I love these.
So have you ever
Does
heard...
everyone have their lip gloss?
Yeah, your lip gloss. Nice throwback. Get your lip gloss ready. Start a long, boring task while I just chunter through this. Have you ever heard, Kirsty Hulse, the statistic that 80% of businesses don't make it to 5 years?
I thought it was like 96 or something.
Well, exactly. So these business statistics are made up because no one truly knows what constitutes a business. And certainly in the UK, we can't track it. So I remember I used to work, when I was at Deloitte, we did a big audit work with
As a qualified accountant.
We did loads of work with the Canary Wharf Group. And Canary Wharf Group are really interesting. They've got like a mesh of 1,000 companies that each own like a square meter of the land that the Canary Wharf buildings are built on, or they own like 3 of the chairs in one of the offices. It's this big tangled web of companies.
Yeah, all the roads are private around
there.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. But they would just like start a company to take intercompany loan from a different company. So they'd save like £100 on tax. So it was this complicated work. But they start a company and then three years later, they dissolve it. And that in the statistics would count as a failed business. But it's not. And there are hundreds and thousands of businesses, like limited companies in the UK, similar to, was it an S Corp in the US, an LLC? That I just started and finished for that. Also, no one really knows the amount of people who are like working for themselves. And if you start a business and it's bought 4 years later, like that counts as a business discontinuance, which counts as that statistic.
It's a total success for many people. That's the thing you're trying to do.
Yeah. Or if you start a business and you gain like a load of notoriety in your industry, and then like IBM come along and hire you because you're so renowned, so you stop that business to become like a senior director at IBM, like that counts as a business failure.
Yeah.
Also, like my mum, she used to be a self-employed cleaner and then she retired. Like, that's a business discontinuous. That's in the statistics. Is she a failure? So there's no one knows the real number of businesses that stop. And in exactly the same way, you're going to have to remind me what I was talking about, how we got into this.
I know how we got into this.
I
know exactly.
In exactly the same way.
Talking to your microphone, remember?
Exactly. No, but you got to tell me.
You want me to remind you? I simply asked
how we got
I asked you if we were allowed to celebrate this podcast.
Okay, now I'm with you. So in exactly the same way, there's published statistics from like the podcast aggregators. 62% of podcasts don't make it to their 10th episode. But that's of podcasts that got submitted to the aggregators.
Yeah.
That were like kind of on Spotify, on Apple, like you've done a bit of work and invested like a little bit of money in distribution, like a tiny bit, like 50 quid. So it's only, what I'm illustrating is it's very difficult to count things when some things aren't countable.
And in your book, you can only celebrate if it's exactly numerically correct.
That's literally true.
So I still don't have my answer. Is this an episode of celebration because we got here?
Every episode is an episode of celebration.
Okay,
Everything
like
is
that.
worth celebrating. But this is our 9th episode celebration. What a slog. Thank you for sticking with us.
Yay!
Both through this diatribe and 9 episodes.
Okay. Questions. I've got my phone. I've got some questions.
Well, okay, shall we do because you tend to have questions for you and I tend to have questions for me.
Yes.
So let's do it the other way around because then I can ask you a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
By the way, I'm feeling, because obviously we record 3 podcasts in one
Absolutely
chunk.
not.
And our last podcast was very emotionally intense for me. I did a big cry. I'm feeling a bit of I'm feeling quite tired. I'm feeling a bit of an emotional hangover. And because I trained all day yesterday. So
Trained other businesses, you weren't like on the Peloton for 8 hours.
I went in and did some training yesterday. What was I training on yesterday? Sales. I did some sales.
You went
training.
to Dublin and back.
I went to Dublin and back yesterday and did some sales training for a team, which I do a lot of actually. I really like sales training. Anyway, so I'm just feeling tired. Just saying that. Just feeling tired.
Thanks for bringing your energy.
Got a coffee here.
That's very nice. What's one that, particularly for people who've maybe never done sales? Yeah, okay, I'm making it relevant.
I'm excited now.
Yeah. So if you've never done sales and...
There's no one who's never done sales, but go on.
Oh, that's such a nice point. Okay, if you're someone who thinks you've never done sales or you're not good at sales... In fact, expand on that first.
Sales all the way down,
always
baby.
done sales.
Sales all the way down. Like so most of the people listening to this may work in a company or run a company. So either you've had to sell a pitch, a project, an idea yourself.
I think that's the most, like, you've had to sell yourself. If you've ever been hired for something.
If you've done a job interview.
You've sold
that's
yourself.
Sales.
Yeah.
If you've been on a date, that's sales.
Yep.
If you've tried to have a conversation with your parents when you're a teenager about why you should be able to stay out 11 that night.
Yeah.
That's sales.
You've done that.
If you've tried to sell to Val that actually you should be able to go to the teenage disco because it's not just, what she thinks it is, though it definitely is.
It's not just Darren and Adrian there.
It's not just Dazza. It wasn't Darren. It was Daz and Gaz.
Daz and Gaz.
It's not just Daz and Gaz in the teen. But it's sales all the way down. There is no such thing as someone who's like doesn't do sales, especially now. Like if you want to get good at building a business, building your career, get fucking good at sales.
Yeah.
But more than that, get comfortable with the idea of sales. Anyway, so you were about to ask me a question.
I was
about sales, I think.
How could people, while I look through your questions, how could people get more comfortable with the idea of sales?
Okay, so I think people worry that like sales is like pushy or irritating or unkind. And one thing I say is you and I think we can say this with lots of self-love and compassion. We are very administratively challenged. Are we not? I forgot a friend's wedding.
Yeah.
I struggle with... I have this thing where some days it literally hurts my brain to look at my phone. Like it hurts. It actually, I just cannot. I neurologically cannot. And so I will forget things, I will miss things, and people will chase me and they'll be like, I sent you that thing. And it's actually helpful. It's actually helpful. So if you want to get good at sales, get more comfortable with chasing people for responses. That's a very like granular tip. And it's helpful. It's genuinely helpful. If you want to get more clients, get a promotion, there's a very simple framework. We don't have to make it more complicated. Do good work and tell people. That's it. Do good work. And often I see people forgetting that step. The reason I've built a business is because I'm one of the best at what I do. So it's easier. It's just easier. So first, like, get really good at your craft. You have to do good work. You can't just expect a promotion if your work is average. You can't expect to get clients if your work is average. Have integrity, have a craft, want to be the best at what you do first. Be really fucking good. Like, study it, analyze yourself, be critical to a point. Like, watch yourself in meetings, watch a video back and be like, okay, how could I improve there? Get very particular about being very good at what you do, and then tell people. It's that simple. We don't have to make it more complicated than that. But I do think I see a lot of people trying to build businesses who I can tell haven't worked on their craft, who I can tell are like, whether your craft is marketing or training like me, or I don't know, like videography, start there.
Yeah.
Start on being really good at your craft and then tell loads of people repeatedly. I have an email that I send out at least once a year with the subject line, "Don't hate me, but ... I sell things." And then I just tell people what I sell.
Yeah. It goes back to something we were saying 1 or 2 podcasts ago. This idea, it's a very noisy world.
Noisy.
Have a message. Just keep repeating it.
Yeah, and I'm not very good at that, actually. I'm not good at, because I'm very interested in lots of things.
Yeah.
And also I can do a lot of things. I'm like, I can do that and then I can do that. Or a client will be like, what's your expertise? And I'm like, what do you want it to be, baby?
What do you need?
What
But
do you
again,
want?
classic sales. Tell me what you need.
Tell me what you need.
I'll give it to you.
Tell me what you need and I'll just repeat back what you told me and be like, yes,
Nice.
that's sales.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you what Megan needs.
What does Megan need?
From Megan. Megan is, as part of one of our contributors to our 9th episode, listener
Thank you, Megan.
Listener question bonanza. Thank you, Megan. Megan says, I am starting... Well, this is how you've paraphrased it in your notes. Megan, starting a new job. What advice for reading colleagues? I think perhaps Megan might have submitted that a little bit more grammatically. I hesitate to say correct because actually we understand the meaning there. We don't need any more words.
No.
Megan starting a new job, new colleagues. How do you work out what the dynamic is? How do you read them?
Okay, couple of things here. And again, we don't want to overcomplicate things. Step number 1 is get out of your head. And what I mean by that is a lot of influence or reading others involves us being focused on our external environment. And often as humans, our energy is focused exclusively on our internal environment. And like our internal environment is, oh, do I look weird on this call? Like, have I got that like weird bit of fat hanging over my jeans? I don't know. I just revealed a bit of my inner monologue. Or like, we're kind of in our heads worrying about how we're being perceived. Whereas we want to shift that. So sometimes living in the world is an inward experience. Sometimes living in the world is an outward experience. I think the more we want to be good at communication, presence, leadership, we need to tip it more to an outward experience.
How can you...
No, go on, you're going to ask me how, and I started like I was giggling because it's fucking hard.
Well, yeah. I was like, how can you maybe catch yourself? Like, so say you're Megan, you've gone to your new workplace, and how would you check in? Of like, am I out? Am I in?
Yeah. Okay. Am I noticing myself or am I noticing them? Am I noticing am I aware of like how I'm sitting? Am I thinking about what I'm going to say next? That's in, and that's okay. Actually, it's not bad. Or am I noticing you? And I've mentioned this story before on the pod. I've mentioned it before, but we don't have many stories and we're 9 episodes in now.
Recycle them.
You're fucking good at this. You are so profoundly good.
Not on this podcast.
No.
I just want to talk about AI.
Your little diatribe.
Yeah.
Like when you're with people one-on-one, your focus is so on them that I think sometimes it could even feel a little uncomfortable for people because your experience, you have learned in conversation with other people to be really outward, but then sometimes and as a result of that, you really have to go in. I give you Henry days. I give you fucking hell, Jesus. But like I suggest sometimes that you have a Henry day. A Henry day being when you're like just in your own little internal experience and you're just in your head and you're
ignore
pottering
everything.
around and you're not noticing anything. And I think it's the same for me. Like I said at the beginning of this podcast, I'm tired. And I'm tired because casting your energy out and observing and noticing is tiring.
Yeah.
But that's the first thing. So if you're trying to figure out how to read people, make sure you're actually reading them. Like, okay, so what are their expressions? Notice. And when it comes to things like reading body language or whatever, I would never teach someone how to read body language.
Yeah, you're not like, if they're doing this with their hand, it means this.
No, because
really prescriptive.
By the way, it's a language you already speak.
Mm.
We speak it. I can just I can remind you how to do it. But we speak body language. Like we are built with the dictionary. Most of us, we all have different brains. But, if you're like neurotypical or I don't know, like some people literally struggle with this. But a lot of people have the capacity to read social cues. So read them. Read them. I can see that I just said something that you liked. You did a little smile. You're looking at me with love now. You love me. I can see that. Is that...
No, that's true. I'm looking at it with love and appreciation for things you're saying. It's perhaps,
I have another point, but yeah, go on. You go.
Well, perhaps an analogy is like if you're trying to walk across a tightrope, as I'm sure everyone is often doing, like walk across a tightrope, walk forward, ride a bike. Like you're not focused on exactly what's like your body is doing or what's exactly in front of you. You look forward, you look at the surroundings, you relax into it. Or when you're playing a musical instrument, you're suddenly like, oh my, what are my fingers doing? And you lose it. It's, I think that, really good analogy. Like if you're playing piano or something and suddenly you realize like, oh, where do I have to put my finger next? And you lose the thread. Whereas if you're just doing it naturally and putting your attention outwards to the music or the feelings, it's much easier to do.
Yes. And I think the second thing to kind of get to like know or read your colleagues is get very intentional about your communication. Often our communication is accidental because we don't learn how to be phenomenally good communicators. And the most important skill I've done in our relationship and my relationships is to learn to be a really good communicator. And then it became great at work too. And so let's say that I want to like build rapport with someone. I'm going to do that intentionally now. So there is, accelerated bonding, don't you?
Do I?
Accelerated bonding is a psychologist, I can't remember the name, but we'll make sure we cite it, came up with a list of questions.
In the podcast homework at talkworkytome.com.
Yes. Came up with a list of questions.
The 36 questions.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes.
So there's a list of questions that help people connect and build rapport. And they get more intense as you go. Like by the end, it's like, what's your relationship with your mother? You're not doing that with colleagues. Yeah. But we can make small talk big. People avoid small talk. And I think people think it's, I'm about to say something that might sound unkind, but I'm including me in this bracket. I think often we're like, oh my God, I hate small talk. Like small talk is this, we're above it. We're above the small talk. Yeah. But actually, there's something very beautiful about small talk. When I got my hair done the other day, I spoke to my hairdresser at length about our favorite fast food restaurants. And I was like, okay, what are you ordering on your McDonald's or Burger King? And there's some
Gherkins
levity
or
there.
Not.
Gherkins or not, there's some levity there. So I think we can allow a bit of small talk. But Henry, if you were able to invite anyone to dinner, dead or alive, who would you invite? Dead or alive, you can invite anyone.
I would invite the last head of the League of Nations, which was the ill-fated interwar organization that was a precursor to the UN. So after the First World War, they created the League of Nations, which was designed to be like bring about world peace and make sure the world would never descend into war again. Basically like the UN now. And slowly countries began to break away from it in the 30s. Germany was like, we're over it. The US was like, whatever. And I feel like that person trying to hold an organization like that together in the face of things falling apart, I think would be really interesting.
That is so interesting. So
Can't tell you the name though.
Yet. Well, I just asked you an accelerated bonding question.
Oh, you prick.
You asked me
Mm.
the same question.
Oh, the same question.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay, if you could invite anyone, living or dead,
Yep.
to dinner, who would it be?
I think you could guess my answer. Who do you think I would?
Have we accelerated bonded or not?
Who do you think, if I could invite anyone, dead or alive?
Your nan?
My nan Vera,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I can't cry again on a podcast. I'm going again. I'm tired.
She's tired. She's going.
Yeah. So you asked, that question's really nice because it feels small talky, but people will often answer with something really like left field and interesting, like what you did. That's some deep conversation. People will say, I lost my mom 5 years ago. I'd love to have dinner with her again. Or people will say, like, I've heard that my like great grandparent was really interesting and like, I don't know, like fled the Nazis or something.
Yeah.
And so
They're always fleeing the Nazis. They're never running to join them.
Thank
God.
well, and like his family legacy, I think, the other
Yeah.
stories have probably been a little,
Swept under.
understandably. But yeah, so there's a whole list of these questions. And when we're trying to build rapport with people, whether it's your clients, like we can make it meaningful and interesting. And it doesn't have to be like these big, deep conversations about your trauma.
Yeah.
But get intentional about being a curious communicator. Ask more questions. Yes.
And I think that's what's the opposite of a sword? What's nice? That's a double-edged hamburger. That's a double-edged tofu pad thai curry.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the same way as we want to...
Were you just food inclusive on our podcast?
Yeah, I was.
Oh, you're so sweet.
I think I'd been feeling a bit of guilt about talking about steak and the environmental impact last time.
Oh, okay.
Particularly because we both dabbled in like vegetarianism and veganism.
Yeah.
Anyway, food inclusive. Double-edged tofu pad thai. So...
I hope it's gluten-free noodles.
Of course. So it's really good for someone like Megan to get intentional about like asking questions. Maybe not like running up to people and be like, tell me, like you said, like, so what's your trauma? Huh?
Yeah.
But just being curious. But we have a responsibility as well to answer questions like that with a bit of ourself.
Yes.
Like as humans who also want to build bridges with people and be in the world and have influence and just have interesting experiences and conversations for the sake of it. Like no ulterior motive's the wrong word, but just because you want an interesting life, right? We have a responsibility to take openings like that at face value and give a bit of ourselves, because that's how you bond with people, right?
Yeah.
You share little bits of yourself that make you.
I think one of the most beautiful characteristics that I really like in people is people who are just interested. People who are interested. And I think there's like a trait, particularly this is kind of cultural. I think it's quite British. I think it might be quite European. I don't know, of it being like lame to be like a conversationalist, to be interested in things. It's cooler to be cynical. Fuck that.
Fuck that.
Fuck that. It's cooler to be curious. It's cooler to be earnest. It's cooler to be considered. It's cooler to try. It's cooler to be like socially aware. It's cooler to check that. Oh, Henry, we don't have much time. We've got like 5 minutes. Okay, so we've got literal 5 minutes.
I would like the question from Esme, please.
And the question from Esme is, and when I say we've got 5 minutes, I just mean in the studio.
Yeah.
Esme, why do we never talk about Gemini on here? Don't talk about Gemini, yo.
Why don't we talk about Gemini? Yeah, I'm always chatting about ChatGPT, always chatting about Claude.
Yeah.
Very
Occasionally laughing at Copilot.
Occasionally laughing at Copilot, bless it. Why don't we talk about Gemini? So, if you're interested in like the behavior of organizations and people, I think Google is a fantastic case study. So Gemini is Google's AI. Gemini, like Google have fumbled the bag here. So I found out something about a week ago that I think is really interesting. So there's someone called Thibault who works for OpenAI. Really, he's kind of one of their public faces. And he said about a week ago, he used to work for Google on their AI team. And a year before ChatGPT, they had developed LM Chat, which is basically identical to ChatGPT. A year before, and because of politics and risk aversion, like it never got released.
Okay.
Google is an enormous organization now. It's very bureaucratic.
Yeah.
Even the term Gemini, this will interest the nerds.
He's sitting up.
So Gemini is a nerdy corporate in-joke at Google. Gemini, so what is in astrology, what's the star sign Gemini?
Mine. The twins.
The twins.
Mm.
So Gemini was born of the fact that Google had 2 AI labs. They had the Google AI, and they had Google DeepMind, who were both working on this, like basically the same version of a product. And they're like, after 5 years of that happening, so Google bought DeepMind in 2014. After 5 years of that, like 7 years since the DeepMind purchase, they were like, this is absurd. Let's merge the 2 labs so they can work on the same thing. What should we call the product? Gemini.
Okay.
So even the naming of their product is a result of their kind of dysfunctional corporate environment. Now, Google have access to more data than anyone else in the world, right? They've indexed the entire internet through the product Google. They've got all of YouTube, the largest repository of images. They've got Google Photos. They've got Google Drive. They've got Gmail. They've got Google Cloud, where like most businesses host some of the data. Like they have the world's biggest resources for data, and data is what makes good AI. And they've just fumbled it. There was a brief period about a year ago where they released Gemini 3 Pro, and that was for a tiny, tiny sliver, about a week. It was like really competitive and really good. But aside from that, they, through what appears to be internal politics and bureaucracy and unwillingness to move fast and like break things or take risks, rightly or wrongly, the other labs, which are perhaps a bit more willing to do that, have accelerated faster. So Gemini is good for just like the AI answers, that when you Google something and the AI answer goes beneath it, like that's Gemini.
Yeah.
And it's getting better. But Gemini isn't competitive on price or on quality with OpenAI, with Anthropic can make Claude. Increasingly, the Chinese open source models from like the labs in China, the businesses in China who are building these things have like 100th of the resources, data, and money that Google does, and they're still able to compete. So it appears to be like a dysfunctional corporate problem. And I think that extends to just globally, when you look at how we create organizations and how we work in organizations, the default of most organizations is slow, confused, and bureaucratic. And you have to make this incredible effort. Like the minute a team gets beyond 5 people, like communication breaks down. And so the default state of organizations is disorganized, slow bureaucracy, and you have to fight incredibly hard against that. And that's part of the Silicon Valley culture that I think is very hard to replicate elsewhere, because the minute you work in a large organization, you start to enjoy having meetings. Or enjoy is maybe the wrong term, but you start to default to, we should have a meeting about
committees
and
hierarchy.
Yeah. And what some of these American companies, OpenAI, Anthropic, maybe even SpaceX, like what a lot of these companies are famous for is the move fast and break things kind of attitude that came about in Silicon Valley maybe 20 years ago and is in some of these AI labs where like, we can move quickly, people have responsibility for stuff. If you have an experiment, just go and do it.
And I think maybe the reason is Esme asked that question is because a lot of people have Gemini, because a lot of people have workspace. And I remember saying we are going to have to wrap soon, but I remember saying that I was going to set up like lots of read my emails, schedule things in Claude, but because my whole business runs on Google, I was like, maybe Gemini will catch up and be able to do it because Google has access to all my stuff.
Everything, yeah.
Like when Gemini does get more proficient, it will be really powerful. But for the sake of people who maybe only have Gemini, who work only, can you, in the Talk Worky to Me Toolkit Resources Worksheet Homework book, can you create some like use cases of how to make use out of Gemini for people?
Begrudgingly, with gritted teeth, I will do that for our Gemini listeners. Yeah, and this is actually to a wider point of what counts as winning. Yeah, winning this AI race. Is it that loads of people around the world will use Gemini for free on their Android phones as Google Answers because they have Gmail, because they have YouTube. Like actually, maybe more people are going to interact with and touch Gemini as a product than ChatGPT. And until like 6 months ago, like no one apart from the nerds had even heard of Claude.
Yeah, that's true.
So, and it's only, I think Claude has something like 50 to 100 million users, which is a tenth the size of ChatGPT, which has 1 billion active monthly users. Yeah. And then Gemini, like anyone who Googles anything is interacting with Gemini in the AI summary. So that, that's a larger number. So what counts as success doesn't matter if you don't have like the best model, because for most people, they're not looking for their AI to solve unsolved maths problems.
For most people.
Yeah, but like just draft me an email, do something better. So we don't talk about it so much because personally what I'm interested in is like the best tool for the job. But there is an argument of like the most common tool is maybe the tool that will end up winning. Like the classic example is VHS versus Betamax in the 80s. For anyone who's alive has heard of this, like home videos, there was a much better format.
Yes.
But it didn't win out because VHS, for whatever reason, just became more common. For people who were around maybe in the 2010s, there was Blu-ray and HD DVD.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And then PlayStation were like, we'll play Blu-ray, but we won't play HD DVD. Even though HD DVD was a better format, more data, higher quality, but Blu-ray won because like PlayStation were like, well, we'll use Blu-ray. And if you wanted to know the real reason VHS won out over Betamax is because in the 80s, the porn industry said, we'll put our tapes on VHS rather than Betamax. And that's what made VHS popular. Right. So actually, it's kind of the argument in business and startups for some people may not have heard of this idea that distribution is everything. Like, yes, your product has to work, but if two products are more or less the same, the one with the better distribution will win always.
Like, for a callback, Kylie Jenner's lipstick isn't necessarily the best lipstick.
Exactly.
It's just Kylie Jenner's.
Distribution. Yeah. So distribution is... People say distribution is king, but distribution is queen for Kylie.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you
for sticking around, for listening to our podcast.
9th episode, listener question special.
Thank you basically for coming on like date mornings with me and Henry. We really appreciate you.
We'll see you next week because we're now on a regular cadence.
Regular cadence.
Thank you for listening to Talk Work to Me. Bye.
Welcome to Talk Work It To Me.